So this is a demo of the RackForce TerraGo Azure Pack offering. We'll be looking at both the administration and customer portal capabilities and experience. The Azure Pack basically provides the end user with a self-service experience for any products we define. In this example, we've created SQL as a service, hosted websites as a service, and virtual machines as a service. As an administrator, we have the capabilities of creating plans similar to VDCs from vCloud Director, which ties the customer to a set of resources and capabilities which basically we define. So, for example, I've created a Haswell high-performance type plan, and I've tied it back to a bunch of different types of services, as I mentioned before. So, for example's sake, let's create a customer who just ordered our high-performance pool from us. This is a pay-as-you-go model, so that the customer will have the capability of deploying whatever he wants, and then he'll get retroactively billed. So, creating a new user, it's pretty straightforward as an administrator. They just went through the billing, they've given us all the information we need, so now we're just going to create the user. So in this case, let's call it Dennis at terrago.ca, password, and access to that high-performance plan. Create. So now this gets created on the back end, and the customer gets emailed his login credentials. Since I already know the credentials, let's go ahead and let's log in as that tenant. So this is the front-end portal. Log in as my new user. And there we go. So first thing you'll notice is it's very, very Windows-like, very Azure-like. So it keeps that Windows customer experience alive. First thing the customer is greeted with is a tour. So welcome to the management portal. This is how you sign in, change a password, etc., create new users. This is how you actually deploy out your resources. Here are some basic commands that you can utilize when you're working with your virtual machines and services. And this is how you deal with notifications, such as errors or issues. So, first things first, let's look at creating a network first. So, customer is going to want external access for whatever services he creates, and he'll probably want to tie together some of his services. So let's create ourselves a network. The network we'll name Bob's Network. It'll be an IPv4 network. What DNS servers would we like to use? So if we have our own Active Directory we plan on building in here, we can utilize that, or we can use TerraGo's, RackForce's, Google's DNS servers. We'll have to decide how we want to provide that, and we can have this allocated for customers. We'll want to enable direct access to the environment using that, and let's create a gateway server. It also has capabilities of configuring site-to-site VPN, so if we want to go ahead and do that, we have the capability to do that, and we can also, this service also supports BGP, so if the customer has a fairly robust network already, and they want to connect their cloud to their existing network, they can tie it into BGP. And create. So as networks are being created, it gives you details at the bottom, and update status live. So basically what's happening on the back end is it's spinning up all the components to create a virtual network. This is all virtualized, so not using VLANs. This is all using NVGRE. So it's not consuming anything. We don't have to configure anything on the back end. It's all just done automatically. So now the network is created. Let's build something for that network. Let's create a virtual machine. So a virtual machine, We can either pre-populate a catalog for an end customer. So, for example, if I want a SQL Server 2012, we have a catalog pre-created for that. So let's deploy on SQL Server. Call it SQL01. Define what kind of resources you look at. We can have predefined, or we can have customizable options. So in this case, I've created predefined options. So let's create a 2-core, 3.5 gig of RAM. It's automatically going to use the template. So let's put credentials. Let's create user. Sorry, Bob. Make it a secure password. And in this case, it looks like I didn't build a template correctly. So let's go back and actually create a new virtual machine using an actual image, because since my template wasn't actually uploaded properly. You can define how many of those virtual machines you want to create, if you want to be creating a cluster, if you want to create web servers, etc. And let's connect it to the network that I already created. Created, gets deployed, and then your virtual machine will be accessible through console and whatever else you need to do at that point. One of the other options is websites as a service. So creating a website. So websites come with a predefined, automatically updating catalog supplied by Microsoft with all the most common options. So there's LAMP stacks, there's wiki tools, there's CMS, e-commerce sites. So, for example, let's create a Drupal site, since those are fairly popular. We'll call it. So since this is considered a shared hosting platform, it'll automatically we can configure it so the customers can either provide their own domain, or we can create a domain hosted off of our, say, Perigo.ca. So in this case, let's call this bobsfishing.websites.azure.local. Let's create a new SQL database for it. So it'll use the SQL components to actually create the database. We'll call the database fishing. And let's create a user, admin. And if you do anything wrong, it tells you. There we go. Create. So now it's creating that website. And as well as creating that website, it's also creating databases on the back end and tying everything, and the network, and tying everything together. So it looks like it's all complete. It's built it. So let's go check out our new Drupal installation. There you go. Now we have ourselves our Drupal websites live on the internet and working right off the bat. We can go through and start building our Drupal-based website. Finally, SQL databases. You'll note that it actually went through and it created the SQL database, and it can be managed through here as well. And additional databases can be created. And if a database is created and we want to tie it back to an actual virtual machine, all the capabilities are here. For example, the connection string. Customer will have direct access to the connection string. They can just populate that into their application, and voila, it's connected back to the SQL database is now connected back to their application. And that's the basics around the customer experience. We can continuously add additional applications to it, and and it all ends up being a single customer experience, which even the most basic of users can figure out. It's extremely simple, unlike some of the other cloud offerings that are out there, such as the OpenStack or the vCloud Director type options. From an actual reporting perspective and from a billing perspective, we can either tie this back into most of the popular billing systems, or we can use it just to do simple Excel dumps at the end of the month and tie it back to either our gas billing or do manual billing based off of that. All right. Thanks for listening.